All right. Well, as you eat, I'm going to go ahead and talk. So get the music down here. All right. So we call it the State of the Church, and so I'm expecting a lot of applause, or at least half of you to applause, another half to sit. Yeah. The other half sit on your hands. All right. So what I want to do today is go over what some of the 2021 things that we've done, and then look at 2022. And so we'll kind of move through this as quickly as I can. I'm going to go through a lot of information, and I didn't do any handouts. The reason I didn't do handouts is because we're trying to get everything out of this half of the building, and the handouts just stay. And so if you want information, I'd be happy to email it to you. Even, we used to put financial records out in the foyer, but people would look at them but just leave them. And so we decided if you want them, just let us know. We'll email them to you. We'll print you a copy and give it to you. And so that's how we'll handle tonight. So to start off with, something that I think we ought to applaud is our new logo. You all like it? So, and I'll talk a little bit more how that came about this year and why we did it. But I thought we'd start off with that. So let me just kind of recap some 2021 things. Starts off with some of our projects, some of our outreach opportunities. Sewing ministry, we'll start there. They worked at the Summit Nursing Home, Project Linus, Project Snowball Quilt, Ben Ashley Veterans Home, and Newborns in Need. Let me give you some numbers. For Summit Nursing Home, 100 different items that they created for them. Bibs, pillowcases, activity mats, etc. Project Linus, 5 hugs for hero blankets. Those are given to newborns with parents in the military. 1 Project Snowball Quilt, bereavement camp for first responder children. Ben Ashley Veterans Home, 55 items, bibs, activity mats, and wheelchair bags. Newborns in Need, 54 items, gowns, burp cloths, and blankets. And so that's a lot of work. Yeah, I think that's wonderful. Sandy said that in 2022, they're going to be working again at Summit Nursing Home. T-shirt dresses for Panama children. They're partnering with the Rio 180 Church in Maryville, where Ryan attends, Ryan Bumbelow. Project Linus blankets and Newborns in Need. And so a lot already planned. So if you are a sewer, I don't want to be sexist here, but is it only ladies who are working right now? I haven't had any men. So if you're a man who can do it, they'll take you as well. But the ladies who are doing it right now are doing a wonderful job. So food pantry, we have 53 families helped this year. That consists of 155 people. We have 20 volunteers that work either Thursday night or they stock during the week or they go shop. Senior meals, 19 volunteers who either cook or deliver and 26 clients right now. And so IDE's food packing. Maybe you were here for it. Here's a picture of it. So, and if you were here, we went all the way to the kitchen here, and we even went into those rooms there packing food. It was a lot of fun and a good turnout. A lot of people worked hard at it. Again, in the Restoration House Christmas project, here's one of the pictures here. If you were a part of it, they're praying over the boxes that they put together for the moms and their families at the Restoration House. So a lot of good things that we did in 2021 that I think we ought to be proud of. Youth, not only do they do their normal Sunday morning, Sunday night, midweek things for our teenagers, but they, even in a COVID year, TCTC fall retreat for middle school. There was Alaska trip that they went on. They're not only the camps at our 2 different church camps, but spring break trip. For our kids, again, not only their normal programming, but VBS camps, trunk or treat, egg hunt, and then a 4th and 5th grade trip that's coming up, and then the yard sale. So let me mention that, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. When you leave, go out through the foyer, and you'll see all the things that we're going to be yard selling here on this weekend. And you might want to go ahead. If you make an offer, Randy will sell it right now to you. You don't have to wait. So, and then Mother's Day Out. Our Mother's Day Out program operates 2 days a week. They have 30 kids. I think they have 29 kids right now. They had 1 drop. 6 teachers that are here Monday and Thursday. And then our deacons did a lot of work, not only with the new logo, and the reason they did the logo was because we're trying to replace the sign that's on the brick wall because you can't really see it very well. But the logo that we had wouldn't work. When you blew it up, it just became pixelated and they couldn't. So they created that new logo that I showed you earlier. And now this year, they're going to go ahead and have that done onto that rock wall. So appreciate the deacons doing that. Ian Driscoll kind of took the lead on that. Our lights in here and then in the foyer, they did. And if you remember, the lights that were in here were in the ceiling. So not only did they put the new lights in, they had to hire someone to come in and redo the ceiling, which was looks great, doesn't it? Now, 2 weeks after they did it, someone stepped through a ceiling again, so we had to have them come back and fix it again. But and then if you're in the foyer, I think it makes the foyer look wonderful. And so the deacons did a good job of that. And the cameras. When you walk in, there are 4 cameras now watching the doors. And so you probably saw them when you walk in. If not, look up, you'll see them there. And they've been very helpful for us as a staff throughout the week when you're in your office kind of knowing if someone's coming or going. It's been helpful for me because anytime somebody sets the alarm off, and we set the alarm off quite often here at this church, I get a phone call. And I now can look at the camera and go, no, that's a member who just forgot to turn the alarm off. Or I can say, yes, send the police. One Sunday night late, it went off. I checked the cameras. There was nobody here except the police. And so I was able to call Kenny and say, hey, I think the police are at the church. Would you walk over? And a door got left ajar on Sunday, and somehow the alarm went off. And so Kenny was able to say, I'm a minister, I'm not robbing. So, and so I took care of it. So I appreciate the deacons doing all of this, as well as anytime one of our fluorescent lights go out, they were replacing those with LEDs throughout the building. So they take care of that and a few other items like that they're doing a good job helping with. So I appreciate that. So the way 2021 looked, trying to count people is a little bit different this year than it used to be with the 2 services. And so when we average out the first service, we have 71 people. That's people in the sanctuary, in the kids programming, Sunday school classes, and in the youth area. Second service, 184, and that's just be the kids and in the sanctuary and nursery. And then, so that's 255 in the building, 17 online. Now, what does 17 online mean? We have no idea. It could mean 17 people watching on their phone. It could mean one family of 4 watching, but they only get counted once. And we know we hear of people who are watching in other countries, so it's not like these 17 people would be here if they weren't feeling sick or, concerned about COVID or whatever. So those 17 are not just 17 members who are not here. They're grandparents watching in other areas. They're different things like that. But we track that, and that 17 is during the hour of worship. If people go back and watch it later, we don't necessarily count that. But during the hour of worship, that's what that looks like. Baptisms this year. Gabriel Klinsky, who's here with us. Bailey Bryant. Bailey is here, but she in there? Okay. Taryn Harrison. Taryn was here earlier. I don't know, is Taryn still here? She's went home, okay. And then London and Lorelei Snyder. So a lot of these baptisms came late in the year. And then those who've placed membership, Bobby and Linda Stevens, who are there in the back, and Sheila Hale. So I think that's great. We're so happy when people are baptized and join, and we're thankful for these folks. These numbers are a little low than we want, and we need to watch that. We need to figure out why. Is it because of COVID? Is it because we've got to do a better job of communicating the importance of baptism or the importance of placing your membership? So those are things that we'll watch and just see if we're still bouncing back from COVID. So I wanted to show you, we're changing how we're doing numbers at this year. So this is January's numbers. So we're just kind of breaking it down to give us a better idea, really, of who's in the sanctuary at each time. So our kids in January averaged 17 during the first hour, our adults, kids 22, teens 23. This 2 is set off because that was TCTC week, and they had 49 at TCTC and just 2 here. So it seemed odd to put the 2 there. And then sanctuary, 44 in the sanctuary, so that's 101 there. Now, second service, 39 averaged for kids, 139 in sanctuary. Now, that 139 in sanctuary includes a lot of people who were in first hour Sunday school classes, but now they're in here. 178 total. So in the building, 279 is what we've been averaging on a Sunday. And then we do look at online. Someone once said you multiply online by 1.7, so I did that. I don't know if that means anything to anybody, but I just thought I'd do it. And then 342, if you add all that together, those numbers mean nothing, but it's just something that we keep, so. All right. So here's where we are financially. So remember, every dollar that comes in, 76% goes into the general fund. 17.5 goes into missions, and then 6.5 goes into cash reserve. And so this past year, 540,000 is where we were general fund, 124,000 to the missions, 46,000 to cash reserve, so 710,671, and you can see that's right on where we were last year. And last year was a really good year giving. You can see how it jumped from the year before. And so that's kind of where we are. Now, let me kind of mention a couple of things here. Cash reserve, what is that? Cash reserve does three things. We keep $10,000 in there so that if there's a member in need, we always have money available. And so we don't want that ever to drop below 10,000. And then it is there for an emergency. Heaters go out. Another person steps through the ceiling. Just different things like that we need to fix that go above and beyond our general fund. And then the third thing is to jumpstart a ministry. So what we've been doing over the last few years is moving that ministry or moving that extra money into the building fund. We don't want that money to sit there forever because that's not being a good steward. And so we allow it to move it into other ministries as well, but as long as we keep that for emergency there. Let me talk a little bit about missions now. So you see here 124,000, but what we actually gave to missions over this year, and this might be harder for everyone to see, but 162,000. So what the difference? Well, that 124 is 17.5% of the dollars given, but then some people give designated money to different ministries as well. And it looks like about 37,000 designated last year to certain ministries. So the different missions that we support, Johnson University, Christian Holy Land Foundation, of course, Matt Nance is here. Matt is the stateside director for that program. Puerto Rico Mission, Christian Churches Disability Ministry, which now is called Ability Ministry, International Disaster Emergency Services. The food packing was through them. Smoky Mountain Christian Camp, one of the two camps that we use. Church Partners of the Smokies, that is the entity that actually helped establish this church back in the 1960s. It was called Smoky Mountain Men's Ministry. Now it's Church Partners of the Smokies. Team Expansion, and this is for Eugene Schved. I know Amy's here, in the ministry that they do with Bible translation. Restoration House, CMF, this is the Duns that we support in Asia. And then we have a special needs fund that we keep just in case a missionary needs extra money, and we use it for different things. When we get to the question and answer, if you've got questions about that, Tom Lacey is here. He is the one who directs our missions program, and even what some of that special needs money might go to, he could answer those questions better than I can. So that's kind of a rundown of the numbers. I hope you got all that. Again, if you've got questions, write them down, and then we can ask them here in a minute. So this year, coming into 2022, what we wanted to do is to kind of focus on grafted and growing. A lot of it comes from this book, Emotionally Healthy Spirituality. I challenge small group leaders to study this book. I know Aaron's group already did it this past year. Our group is starting it this upcoming Sunday. So if your group decides not to do it, that's fine. I'd encourage you to read it because it really had a lot of impact in what we're doing this year in the whole calendar year. So some things coming up. Men's ministry. They're doing a study February 3rd through March 24th. They've got the Chosen Season 2 that they're going to do in the summer. Game night where they're partnering with the women's ministry. And then a hike coming up, I think, in April. Keep Brent Hosier in your prayer. We sent out a prayer request today. His father passed away. Brent is really working hard on this ministry. But I think COVID has run through their house 3 different times. And so and the two of those times were the 14 days where you had to stay home, and the last time was the 10-day one. And so they've had a hard time of getting the ministry going because of different things. But I'm excited for him to get some of these things going. Women's ministry, Wednesday night at 6, they have a study that meets here. They have some breakfasts that some of you all are a part of. Amy asked, if you want more information, go to the FCC site, the ministry page, and look at the women's link there, or the Facebook page, the Women's Ministry Facebook page. You can get more information about that. 55 plus, out in the foyer, you can pick up one of their cards that tells the things that are going on. And I was excited that 55 plus was able to begin doing things this past year in 2021. And one of the things that they asked that I mentioned is in June and July, they're collecting used clothing to support families in need. Adult and children items will be needed. So go ahead and start saving some of that. And in June and July, they'll be taking some of that up. And then the building, I probably should have put that earlier, but where did we finish in 2021? $1,470,805.32 was in that fund at the end of December. So let's talk a little bit about the building. I think that all the other stuff I talked about, most of you are here for this, and so we got here. So we are getting ready to begin renovating this half of the building. And so the first thing that we've got to do is clean out this half of the building and the attics. And can I just tell you, Randy Overdorf, that's Daniel's brother, but Randy Nussbaum has done a fabulous job. And I know some of you have come and helped her, and we certainly appreciate it. If you go up in the attic, there's still a whole lot of stuff up there, but it's about half of it is gone. We've taken the load that you see out there. Matt, is this the third load that you are taking to the dump of things? And so walk through the foyer, all the things we're selling or getting rid of. All the office furniture has to go. We're going to try to keep some of the shelving in the library, the conference room table and chairs, but all the office desks and all those things need to go. So even if you're interested or looking for those things, come talk to us because we've got to find a place for it. One piece is really special. Cam Webb's dad built it. It's in my office. I've talked to Cam. They don't have a place for it. So if anybody wants Ed's work, it's great workmanship, craftsmanship. It is huge. It is big. But you're welcome to have it. We've got to get rid of all that stuff to clear out this side. And when we talk about anything on the walls, on the ceiling, anything in the kitchen, everything's got to be out of here so that they can do the renovation. So that's project one. Now, how much time do we have? One of the things that we're doing is before they can start the project is they're bringing on a temporary building. If you have gone by Farragut schools, you'll see them and you know what they look like. The reason is because we're only going to have access to the foyer and the sanctuary for 6 months. And so as adults, we can figure that out, but we need to have place for our kids to be. I mentioned a tent, and Randy said, we don't have preschoolers in tents, Jason, because they just keep going. So we settled on this. That it will be kind of out this side here, and it'll sit almost on the pavement, so you'll be able to walk in. And so during Sunday school, the youth will use it. During church, the kids will use it. It'll be there throughout the week to be used. Mother's Day out for 6 months is the project. 3 months they're out for summer. So for those 2.5, 3 months, they're going to be using it on Tuesday and Thursday as well. So it'll get a lot of use when we have it. But that was a big thing to add to the project. But we needed to find something to do with kids. I had suggested to the Hickory that could we split the project in half and do half the building at one time and half the other. And they have assured me on numerous times, because I've asked Harold numerous times, is this the cheapest option? And it is. He says it's cheaper than splitting the project because of time. And once you send those workers somewhere else to get them back, it's going to take longer and more money. So we're going to have this for that 6 months. So let me talk about what's coming up after the 6 months. And so I want to walk through this diagram because a lot of people have asked me, even though we've talked about it, you all slept, and it's been a little bit of time. So this blue is where we are right now. I'm actually standing right here, and so you can see where you are. This is the kitchen. The kitchen is going to be renovated. When we were originally building the new building first, we were not going to renovate this kitchen. We were going to turn it into a teen kind of lounge area. But because we're going to still need this because we're not building the other building, we're going to have to do some renovation here. Now, that's a big cost. And some of you, let me go ahead and explain it because some of you have heard what we struggled with. The town of Farragut has a lot of rules. And some of the rules that we had was the oven was fine, but the stovetop was not because of issues here, meaning fire suppression and those type things. And so the building committee on Monday, I think it was, decided to go ahead and do the stovetop. That adds about $47,000 to the project, to the stovetop, but we felt like it was worth doing. Why that much for a stovetop? Because you've got to have an Ansel system, and you've got to have a hood. You've got to make the walls now and ceiling certain fire resistant. So that's what brought that number up. But we decided to go ahead and do that. So in the kitchen will be an oven, will be a new freezer, a new refrigerator. We're going to have a new ice machine. We're working on warming racks as well. So if you cook your dinner at home, you can bring it and put it in the warming rack until it's ready. So those are some things that'll be going on. This area here that you all are in, this becomes our teen area. All the way back to those classrooms will be teen rooms and storage for the teens and probably for other things as well. When we step right into here, which is right here, this is our preschool area, and it's not changing a whole lot. I mean, it's going to get freshened up, but it's not a lot of changes going on, just some cosmetic. The bathrooms, you'll notice, if you can tell, they're one less toilet on either one because it's ADA, and it'll be both of them will be redone. This red up here is our elementary area, and so Randy will be doing worship right here on Sunday mornings. That's the classroom right here, the brick classroom that's down the hallway, first one on the right as you walk down. And they're gonna blow out the brick wall that goes into the library in certain spots so that it has overflow up into the library and stadium seating there the kids can sit on during worship. It goes up into the library. There'll be another classroom put into the library. Randy's office, Shannon's office, Aaron's office, and part of the conference room, all now our kids' area. That's the red. Green is my office, the conference room, or not my office, the copy room, and Dina's becomes adult Sunday school. And then the green down here is adult Sunday school or adult classrooms as well. So we'll have these green for adult space as well. The purple here is outreach. So our food pantry will be there in the sewing room. Now we're going to have to work that out. Originally, the food pantry was going to be in the new building. So when we postponed the new building, we had to bring them back in. So we'll have to do some figuring there so that eventually when the new building is there, we'll move the food pantry into their own space. But that's kind of how that's going to work right now. And then this orange area here is the doors you walked in, the food pantry, the room that goes up to the attic, the sewing room, all of them are gone. So we're going to have brick wall to brick wall. If any of you can remember the building back before that had the ceiling on it, that was the open outdoor space. So that's kind of now going to be Dina's reception area here at the very front with a workroom right behind it, a conference room, and then we have one office. So that one office the staff will alternate using when they need to have a private conversation or a counseling type of situation. They'll use that. The rest of the time, the staff will just find a seat somewhere in the building and do their work, or at Panera, or at home. They'll do that because the staff's offices are going to be in the new building once that's created. All right, so I kind of ran through that real fast, but I wanted you to hear all of those things, and we'll come back to questions on that. So a couple other things that we want to look at for 2022 is service projects. We've already done the prom, and the prom was very well received. I happened to receive today an email I get every week from, I forgot who it's from. Yes, Christian Standard. And Christian Standard is a publication for independent Christian churches. And they somehow knew about the prom, and it was the first thing in the news and notes that we had done that. And I don't know how. I don't know if we made it on TV as well. So I don't know if some of you reported it to there, but so it was very well received. And we are working. They've given us some dates for next year, so we'll get that out already. So Ides food packing, like to do that again. Some of that depends on location of how we can do it. Restoration House Christmas event has been very successful. I'd like to do that. And then we're hoping to do one more service project. Some of this depends on our space, and so we don't want to kind of commit to some things until after we know for sure. Let me mention two more things, then we'll go to Q&A. In this past year, as a church, we lost about 30 people from the church, whether it was people who moved to new areas, whether it's people who left the church for another church here in our area, whether it was people who've passed away. And that's a lot to lose in 1 year. But we gained about 40 people throughout the year who are visitors. And so I think that's something that we got to keep in mind, because when people leave, whether it's they move, whether they get upset and leave, whatever the reason, that's hard on everybody, because you've lost somebody who you've invested in and cared for. But one of the things that's always encouraging is seeing new people come in, and we see that within our church family as well. But all of that to be said, that when we have that much change within the church, our finance team, our elders want to be aware of it. And so they are, instead of having a budget for a whole year, are doing the budget quarterly, so that if they need to make adjustments, we can do that, ready to make those changes. And so we're being proactive as we think through those things. Last thing that I want to mention is this upcoming year, we're pretty excited about this, is the elders have approved interns. We're going to have 2 interns this summer. So last year, my son Gabe did an internship in Delaware. He's going to be a youth minister. And Shannon and Ainsley and I went up, and we were just blown away by the internship program. They had 4 interns. It was a church of 800. The interns had a community, and then the church took them in. They had host families, but members of the church took them out to eat every week. They had them over, and they really invested. So I came back to the elders, because one thing this church has always done has invested in young ministers. I mean, all of our ministers we've hired have been young, and you all have invested in them. And now we actually have ministry staff that has some experience. And so we felt like this was a time for us to do this. Elders approved 2 interns. We're going to pay them. I don't remember what we're paying them, but do you remember off the top of your head, Richard? I'd have to look at my notes. I think it was like $1,800. Don't quote me on that, for each of them. And then we're going to do a love offering at the end. So here's what we need, is we need host homes, whether that's 1 home for each of them, or whether that's 1 home that takes both, or 2 homes that take one or other. We need church family to kind of come together and do welcoming gifts. As a dad who just sent his kid to do an internship, that was something we thought was really neat when he got there and he's away from home, and he FaceTimed us and he showed us all the goodies that they had provided for him. That was really neat. So we want to do that. And then we need church members who will take them out to eat. It's not the host family's responsibility to feed them every night of the summer. We want the church family to come along inside of them and do that. So we, as a staff, interviewed 5 interns. We wanted to hire all 5 of them, but the elders would not let us do that. And so we limited it to 2, but we told the other 3, we'd love to help you if you want to come and do it for free. None of them has taken us up on that offer yet, but we really were impressed by all 5 of them. And so we end up hiring these 2, Azariah or Azza. I really had trouble saying Azariah's name. Gabe said to me, he said, "Dad, I want you to say this. Say Azza." I said, "Azza." He said, now say it again. Asa. I said, Asa. He goes, just call him Asa. You don't need to worry about the rest of it. So he goes by Azariah or Asa. Azariah is from Indiana, and Gabe highly recommended him. Chloe, when we had mentioned to Chloe, this is one we're looking at, she said he's the best there. And so that was high praise from both of our students who are there. And we were blown away as a staff by him. So he'll be working with Kenny. And the second one is Branson Bridges. Branson actually grew up in Gibbs, so he's a local boy. Matter of fact, I asked him, did he want to have a house out here or just stay at his, and he said out here. Actually, his aunt lives in Farragut Hills. So I said, do you just want to stay with your aunt? And he's like, no, I'd like to really invest in this. And so Branson Bridges, if you are familiar with Johnson and know Dr. Bridges, this is his grandson. And so he grew up at Cornerstone Christian Church, which is right off 640. You can see it there, is where he grew up. And he's going to be working with Randy in the children's ministry. He has been at Kenny's Weeks of Camps for years. When Randy was there, he was on Randy's team. So there was already this connection with Branson. By chance, I happened to come across this picture where they were intramural chants of spike ball together. I didn't know this, so if they're here this summer and they say you want to play spike ball, I'd say no, because apparently they're really good at that. So, but we're excited. We're excited to invest in them. So we need somebody to house them. So if that's something that you're interested in, come talk to me. We have done interns different ways. In the past, we've passed them around. They've stayed here a week, there a week. I'd like to change that. I'd like it to be at one house all summer. So that's what we're asking you to commit for. Of course, they'll be at camp for 3 weeks. So out of the 10 weeks, you're really only getting them 7 weeks. But we think it'll be a good experience for you all and for the church family and for them. And so we're excited about that this summer. So with all that being said, let's go to question Q&A. And then anytime you need to leave during the Q&A, feel free. So what questions do you have?